Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Angela. So I thought I would go ahead and do a video on the cards of the month. So if you're just tuning into my channel, back in January, the beginning of January, I pulled from my Dream Keepers Tarot and my Frank Painter Tarot. A year ahead spread, and then every month I go through and talk about the cards that were for that month. So this is for the month of July, since it's now August 1st of 2022. It's almost 8 o'clock at night. It's beautiful, nice. It's starting to cool off out here. It's been sweltering all day today. Last week we had a lot of rain, so it was chilly every day. Today is a new week. It's been very hot today. So so that Dream Keepers Tarot is published by U.S. Games. Frank Painter is by Los Scarabero. When I got these decks, I really decided to dive deep into them. And when I do that, some decks I do that with, I use them as a year ahead spread and go through them so it's like I'm touching base with them every single month. So it kind of helps me dive into those particular decks, and that's what I did with these two decks this year. So, and I usually pull just from one deck. This year I decided to pull from both decks. And usually they either go together, or they are like, one's a positive and one's a negative of the same situation, which I found interesting. I'm trying to find it here now. Your head spread. And I find it interesting because for the month of July, from the Dream Keepers Tarot, I pulled the Five of Swords. And from the Frank Painter Tarot, I drew the Five of Cups. And I found it interesting because in June, from the Dream Keepers Tarot, I pulled the Five of Cups. And then from the Frank Painter Tarot, I pulled the Seven of Swords. So it's almost like reverse, except one's the Five of Swords instead of the Seven. So I pulled the Five of Swords, and I really, I tried to actually look at it more throughout the month. Usually I don't look at it again until the month is over. But I really tried to look at this month, and really think about the cards all month long and see how they fit. The Five of Swords, the swords being all about the mind. There was a lot of, for the month of July, there was a lot of, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. But a lot of trickery of my mind. Like my mind was trying to trick itself, if that makes any sense, into thinking, because here she's got these tentacles, she's got these swords in front of her. There's like almost like rescue boats, but they're like, I almost feel like this is Gulliver's Travels, and she's the giant, and these are the village people trying to rein her in or hold her down, and that's what I kind of see in this card, because she's different, or because she's an outsider maybe, and they're like, no, we can't have this. So I feel like that part of it is like these outsiders would be like my mind going, you can't do this. Or maybe ego saying you can't be a writer, you can't function on your own, you can't do this, you can't do that. So I had a lot of that in the month of July, believe it or not, which makes total sense to me for this particular card from the Dream Keepers Tarot, for the month of July. And then we got the Five of Cups and the Frank Painter Tarot, and the Five of Cups to me is all about walking away from something difficult. These are both in a sense, walking away from something that's difficult, or not walking away from something that's difficult. To me, the Five of Cups the Five of Swords can be almost like, this one is almost like empowering, where she's like, I've got these tentacles, I've got this power, the swords can't hurt me. But at the same time, she's vulnerable. Her mind is making her vulnerable. Whereas the Five of Cups, it's, to me, a very sad card and very emotionally distraught. It's almost as if this something is being done to her that she has no control over, and she can only just hang on to the storm as it's passing. But both of these cards seem to be about loss of some sort of mental loss or emotional loss. And that actually summed up quite a bit of July for me, believe it or not. There was some things I had to come to terms with. There was things that I had to make myself realize I can't do certain things anymore because of my health. I can't do this. I can't do that. It's almost like where in your mind you're 21 still, but your body's like, yeah, we're not 21 anymore. Like a few years ago, I went ice skating, or not ice skating, but roller skating. Got it in my head one night, with a couple of friends and my husband, we're going to go recapture some of our youth and go roller skating. And it was the most painful experience. Because at a certain age, you have to start giving up some things because you realize you're just too old for them. And that's kind of what I see in the Five of Cups, more as a being forced to give something away of yourself. And then the Five of Swords may mean that your mind is not ready to give it up, even though you are being forced to give it up because of physical or whatever. But your mind is like fighting that. So I find that very interesting that those are the two, and they're both fives, which I haven't looked up. I'm going to look it up right now. It does. And from a numerology standpoint, number 5 in numerology represents the planet Mercury, and it's associated with the senses we have. So I think that's interesting that the air and emotional, each number are similar. Certain numerology and 5's energy is all about self-sufficiency and personal independence. And I think that's kind of opposite in these two cards. In the 5's, there's a spider or something just hanging there. Especially in the 5's, especially the swords and the cups, there is a sense of self-dependency, or self-sufficiency and personal independence. There is a sense of that in these, but at a cost, is what I feel like in that. So that's quite interesting. So let's read what it says in the Dream Keeper's Tarot about the Five of Swords. And I love this book. Love it. It's very insightful. Every time I open it, I'm just like, what? I'm going to get another drink because it's quite a bit to read in that book. And I got something right in my back. Five of Swords, a no-win situation. A woman with octopus arms hangs from a fish hook as two fishermen look on. The riotous ocean, storm clouds in the sky, and the rocky shore all suggest danger and difficulties. The fishermen wait patiently, but do they know what they are getting into? The fire in her eyes suggests that she is no victim and knows something they do not. The look on her face seems to say, tangle with me at your own peril. The octopus symbolizes intelligence, complexity, and fluidity, While its natural habitat is saltwater, it can survive for short periods of time on land, often surprising its captors. Wow. It is a master of camouflage and can change and blend into any situation. It is highly intelligent and can squeeze into or out of tight spaces. When frightened or in danger, it creates a cloud of ink and disappears in it, and thus is a symbol of adaptability and elusiveness. When you think you've caught her, she is suddenly gone. I'm sorry, I have something's biting my back. It's biting me. Okay. The Five of Swords indicates being besieged, preyed upon, or engaged in a battle of some kind, with a high probability of defeat. This card signals an inferior position and points out that you may not have the resources or strength to prevail in whatever conflict is brewing. And I find that very interesting that it says you don't have the strength to basically grin and bear it when my card of the year is the Strength card. And I found there were times in this year that even when I did not want to keep going and I was brought to tears, somehow I kept going, and I had this reserves of strength to keep going. So I found that very interesting. That kind of contradicts this card. The best resolution to such a situation might be in acknowledging or in accepting your limitations, and I have a very hard time with that. And choosing to walk away from a fight you cannot win before it even starts. Or use the insight to better prepare for what you must face. Before you decide to engage or step away, it is worth examining how you define victory and what constitutes defeat. Wow. Yeah, being called out totally. But at the same time, I feel like I have to mention when it says the best resolution to such a situation might be in acknowledging and accepting your limitations and choosing to walk away from a fight you cannot win before it even starts. I feel like my problem is there are probably some fights I can win, but I choose not to even fight. And that is what I'm trying to understand and learn this year, is why I'm choosing not to throw my hat in the ring, why I'm choosing not to take a risk, to take a chance, to follow through. And that's been a big problem the last couple of years for me. Still not understanding why I'm just not engaging. So that's interesting. Or it could be that I'm choosing not to fight because I'm like, well, I'm not going to win anyway. What's the point? And maybe it is more of the experience that needs to be had in the fight than the actual fight itself. Interesting. Wow. All kinds of realism going on. Before you decide to engage or step away, okay. These positions aren't always clear. Sometimes defeat is caused by being outdone. At other times, it is a symptom of poor planning or an incomplete comprehension of the scope of the problem. In considering our situation, new facts, it could emerge that would cause us to change course or reconsider our position. What we initially believed to be a win might later bring about unforeseen consequences that can neutralize any sensation of victory. Be also mindful of the cliche about winning the battle and losing the war. You could win a handful of small battles, but in the end, if you don't stay standing longer than your opponent, those wins are meaningless and the war is lost. Wow. It's getting deep. This is why I love this book. It pulls no punches and it goes deep, deep, deep. Divinatory message. When the Five of Swords shows up in a reading, it is a sign that the situation you are engaged in has no long-term value, and there will be no real winner. It could represent a defeat on the mental level. It's a green fly, weird. Or perhaps the memory of a past defeat that is hindering further ventures. And that's what I was kind of saying. I'm like, if I'm not going to win, why bother even throwing my hat in the ring to begin with? Wow. Consider this possibility carefully as you ponder the next step. If despite reconciliatory actions you are engaged in a matter that is not moving towards resolution, sometimes the only thing left to do is walk away. It is important to take a stand, but there are also times where retreat is the best option, even if it bruises your pride. Totally being called out. Keywords: upright, self-interest, discord, dishonor, severing ties. In reverse, intrigue, deception, and hubris. And that's it for this card. Interesting. A lot was said in that. Craziness. Let me get a drink, and then we'll go for the other one. Fair Winter just has a little white book. It's a low scare barrel, so we all know it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's a little bitty blurb here. 5 of Cups. Description: a young woman gazes at a gentleman climbing the stairs. Her demeanor suggests they may share a difficult history. Essence: the 5 of Cups is a card of disappointment and regret. It's my dog, because people want to let her out every time I come out here. It fixates on the torment of failure and dreams of what might have been. In a reading, this card indicates the current plan will not bear fruit no matter how deeply we may wish it. And it said the same thing here. It's like there's no clear winner of this battle. No matter how deeply we may wish it, and it would be prudent to cut your losses and move on. Again, both of these cards are about walking away from what doesn't serve you. It is important and useful to acknowledge feelings of loss and failure. When we strive to achieve a great desire without success, the sense of grief can be overwhelming. All is not lost, but you will more easily find satisfaction elsewhere. Note the way the wind seems to pull at her dress, and I did notice that before. Quite interesting that both of these are talking about walking away, leaving what doesn't serve you, severing ties. Yeah, crazy. Both of those cards said that in this. So, yeah. Sorry, that is my dog. That's the cards I have pulled for the month of July. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, don't hesitate to comment below. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification button so you're alerted to any future videos. And you guys have a good night. Bye.